Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Mitchell Jennings was used to handling emergencies. As a paramedic in Austin, Texas, he'd seen it all: brutal crashes on Interstate 35, cardiac arrests in the dead of night, kids choking in packed restaurants. His ability to stay calm under pressure was legendary among his colleagues at Central Texas EMS. But nothing in his 11-year career had prepared him for the emergency he'd discover inside his own home, hidden in his wife's digital messages. Alicia Jennings was everything Mitchell admired in a person. A certified yoga instructor, a fitness influencer with 43,000 Instagram followers, and a vocal advocate for healthy living and authentic relationships. Her daily posts preached transparency, mindfulness, and genuine connection with your partner. Mitchell often appeared in her photos, the two of them making organic smoothies in their spotless kitchen, meditating together at sunrise by Lady Bird Lake, smiling in post-workout selfies. "My biggest supporter," she called him in captions filled with motivational hashtags. "The man who taught me what real partnership looks like." The comments always poured in: heart emojis, clapping hands, followers praising the perfect couple they seemed to be. They'd met 9 years earlier at a charity run in Zilker Park. Mitchell was on medical duty at the event when Alicia twisted her ankle at mile 7. He treated her with professional kindness that quickly turned into undeniable chemistry. 3 months later, they were living together in a small apartment in the South Congress neighborhood. 2 years after that, they married in an intimate ceremony in the Hill Country, with rolling vineyards and an endlessly blue Texas sky as their backdrop. The life they'd built seemed solid. Mitchell worked long, unpredictable shifts, saving lives while Alicia cultivated her personal brand and taught classes at a boutique studio called Zenith Wellness in the bustling Domain District. She woke up at 5 a.m. to film morning routine videos, posted stories about gratitude practices, and offered workshops on living your authentic truth. Mitchell supported her in every way, proud to have a wife who inspired thousands to become better versions of themselves. But in the past 4 months, something had changed, almost imperceptibly. Alicia started scheduling more photo sessions outside regular business hours. More brand collaborations that required evening meetings. More times when her phone stayed face down on the table, a habit she'd never had before. Mitchell noticed but chalked it up to the natural growth of her career. Successful influencers had chaotic schedules, he reasoned. It was selfish of him to expect her to always be available just because he happened to have an unexpected day off. That Tuesday in October, Mitchell was scheduled for the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, but a mass food poisoning incident that sent half the crew home meant he had to cover the afternoon as well. Exhausted after 18 straight hours handling 3 serious accidents and a near-fatal overdose, he finally left the station at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Alicia had texted that morning saying she had a packed day of appointments and probably wouldn't see him until that night. When he got home, Mitchell tossed his keys on the entryway console and headed straight for the couch, planning to nap before showering. That's when he noticed his tablet charger wasn't in its usual spot near the TV. Alicia must have accidentally grabbed it along with her things when she rushed out that morning for a supposed photo shoot at Barton Springs. Mitchell rummaged through her gym bag, which was lying on the closet floor, and found the silver tablet half hidden among designer leggings and a microfiber towel. When he unlocked the screen to unplug the charger, he realized it wasn't his tablet, it was Alicia's. And the screen showed an open messaging app, displaying a conversation with a contact saved only as T. Mitchell wasn't the type to snoop. In 9 years together, he'd never gone through Alicia's phone, never secretly checked her emails or social media. Trust was one of the pillars they'd always claimed to have. But something in the first visible message made him freeze. "I can still feel you inside me. Can't wait for Thursday night." The message was from Alicia, sent the night before, while Mitchell had been on shift saving a motorcyclist who'd crashed head-on into a truck. Mitchell's stomach turned. With trembling hands, he scrolled up through the conversation. What he saw over the next 3 hours systematically destroyed 9 years of history. Months of messages. Hundreds of them. Explicit exchanges between Alicia and Trent Callahan, a personal trainer at Zenith Wellness whom Mitchell had met twice at studio events. A 27-year-old man, 6 years younger than Alicia, with a sculpted physique and a toothpaste commercial smile. "You're incredible," T. read one of Alicia's messages from July. "Mitchell doesn't even notice when I'm not home. He's so predictable, so stuck in his routine. You make me feel alive again." Another message, from August, told him, "I have a workshop this weekend, but we're actually going to that hotel in San Marcos you suggested." He never suspects a thing. And another, just 3 days prior, "I love it when you call me your muse. Mitchell calls me love, but it sounds automatic, you know? With you, everything feels intense." Mitchell read each message with the same methodical precision he used to assess vital signs in critical patients. He couldn't look away, even as the words pierced him like shards of glass. Alicia mocked intimate aspects of him. He thinks he's good in bed, but he's so unimaginative. He gets me flowers every Friday like it's an obligation, not passion. Sometimes it feels like I'm married to a kind, predictable robot." Trent replied with the arrogance of someone who knew he was breaking something that didn't belong to him. "You deserve someone who makes you feel truly desired. Once you finally leave him, we won't have to hide anymore. He has no idea what an amazing woman he has, and is losing." Mitchell felt anger boiling in his veins, the kind of controlled rage he rarely let surface. But his professional training took over. Emergencies demanded quick, efficient action, not paralyzing despair. He grabbed his own phone and began methodically taking screenshots. Every incriminating message, every photo they'd exchanged, every plan for a secret meetup. He saved everything in 3 places: the cloud, his personal email, and a USB drive where he kept important documents. It took him an hour and 40 minutes to document everything. When he finished, Mitchell checked the location history on Alicia's tablet. The patterns were clear: addresses that didn't match the places she claimed to be, times that didn't line up with the professional commitments she said she had. The Motel 6 on Highway 71 appeared at least 8 times in the past 2 months. Trent's apartment in the Riverside Drive complex showed up just as often. Mitchell placed the tablet exactly where he'd found it in her gym bag. He took a long shower, letting the hot water ease the tension in his muscles but unable to wash away the ache that had settled in his chest. He put on clean jeans and a t-shirt, brewed a strong pot of coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and started making calls. First call, Jonathan Reeves, a divorce attorney who'd helped a coworker through a similar situation. Jonathan answered on the 3rd ring, listened to Mitchell's summary, asked him to send the digital evidence immediately, and scheduled an in-person meeting for the next morning at 9. "You've got a solid case for fault-based divorce," Jonathan said with reassuring professionalism. "Documented infidelity makes asset division much more favorable for you." Second call, the manager at the bank where they held a joint account. Mitchell explained he needed to separate their finances urgently and asked about asset protection. Sensing the gravity of the situation, the manager outlined steps to freeze unauthorized transactions and scheduled a meeting for Thursday morning. Third call, a locksmith who could change the apartment locks that very night. Technically, the property was in both their names, but Mitchell wanted control of the situation. The locksmith said he could be there by 6 p.m. When Alicia walked through the door at 5:43 p.m., yoga bag over her shoulder and that radiant smile of someone who just filmed content for social media, Mitchell was sitting on the living room couch, her tablet on the coffee table. She didn't notice anything wrong at first. "Hey, love," she said in that soft, melodic voice she used in guided meditation videos. "You're home early. Did your shift end sooner?" "Sit down, Alicia," Mitchell replied. His voice was calm, but there was something in it that made Alicia stop mid-step, frowning. "Is everything okay? You seem off. Sit down." Alicia slowly set her bag on the console and walked to the armchair across from the couch, suspicion growing in her eyes. "Mitchell, you're scaring me. You always ask me not to make a scene when your mom visits and makes inappropriate comments about my job, Mitchell said, each word measured with surgical precision. You ask me not to make a scene when your friends go on and on about their perfect lives and expect me to stay quiet. You ask me to be discreet, polite, controlled. Today, I'll honor that request. No scene at all. Then he turned the tablet toward her. The screen showed the conversation with Trent, scrolled to a particularly explicit message where Alicia described in detail what she wanted to do with him at their next meeting. The color drained from Alicia's face like water down a drain. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Mitchell, I can explain. No need, he interrupted, his voice still unnervingly calm. I've read it all. Every message from the past 4 months. Every lie about workshops, photo shoots, brand collaborations. Every time you were with Trent while I was working 18-hour shifts saving lives. Mitchell, please, let me talk. Tears began streaming down her face, but Mitchell remained unmoved. I spoke with a divorce attorney today. Jonathan Reeves. He'll be receiving all the digital evidence I documented. I've already scheduled a meeting with our bank manager to separate our finances. I've hired a locksmith who'll be here in 10 minutes to change the locks. You can't do that. This apartment is ours. Actually, it's 70% in my name because my down payment was larger. Jonathan already confirmed. And with proof of infidelity, the asset division will be very favorable to me. Alicia stood up, desperate. Mitchell, it was a mistake. I was confused, feeling invisible, needing attention. You felt invisible? Mitchell asked, and for the first time his voice carried a note of bitter irony. You, the one who posts 10 stories a day preaching authenticity? Who preaches transparency and genuine connection to 43,000 followers? You felt invisible while I worked double shifts so you could build your influencer career without financial pressure? It's not about money. It's about emotional connection. Then let's talk about connection. Mitchell picked up his phone and opened a folder of screenshots. Here you call me predictable and unimaginative. Here you mock the flowers I buy every Friday. Here you call our marriage boring. Is that your idea of connection? Humiliating your partner behind his back while pretending gratitude in public posts? Alicia was sobbing now, her makeup running. I'll end it with Trent. I'll block him. We can go to couples therapy. Please, Mitchell, 9 years can't just end like this. 9 years already ended, Mitchell said, and the finality in his voice was non-negotiable. They ended the moment you chose to betray not just me, but the person you claimed to be publicly. And about Trent, he paused, letting the silence weigh heavily. I've prepared a detailed report about his inappropriate relationship with a client at the studio, violating the professional code of conduct. It'll be sent anonymously to Zenith Wellness Management tomorrow morning. You wouldn't do that. I perform surgery on accident victims, Alicia. I make tough decisions under pressure every day. This? It's just another emergency that needs to be handled efficiently. The doorbell rang. The locksmith had arrived. Mitchell got up to answer it, leaving Alicia standing in the living room. During the 15 minutes it took to change the locks, she tried arguing, pleading, negotiating. Mitchell didn't respond. He simply handed her a new set of keys and politely informed her she no longer had access to the apartment. You have 2 hours to grab your essentials, he said after the locksmith left. Clothes, toiletries, work equipment. I'll stay here to supervise. After that, anything left behind will be packed up, and you can pick it up by appointment, only with me or my attorney present. Where will I go? That's no longer my problem. Maybe Trent can take you in. Or your mom. Or one of those influencer friends who love posting about sisterhood. Alicia packed while crying, repeatedly trying to start a conversation, get an emotional reaction, anything that showed Mitchell still cared. But he'd completely disconnected, operating in professional emergency mode, assess the situation, make decisions, execute the protocol. At 8:40 p.m., Alicia walked out the door with 3 large suitcases, unaware it would be the last time she'd ever enter the apartment she'd considered home. Mitchell locked the door, leaned against it for a long moment, and finally allowed a single tear to fall. Then he wiped his face, picked up his phone, and typed one last message to Alicia. "You also have until midnight Friday to post something on your social media explaining our separation. You can write whatever you want, as long as you don't defame me or lie about the reasons. If you don't post anything, I'll publish a simple statement on my own profile saying we're divorcing due to documented infidelity. The choice is yours. Authenticity, remember? That's what you always preach." Alicia's reply came 30 minutes later. "Would you really do that to me? Destroy my public reputation?" Mitchell typed back, "I'm not the one destroying it. You did that yourself. I'm just giving you the chance to control the narrative the way you've always liked to. Good night, Alicia." On Thursday morning, Mitchell met with Jonathan Reeves and formally filed for divorce. In the afternoon, he went to the bank and finalized the financial separation. He called the supervisor at Zenith Wellness and, without revealing his identity, sent a detailed report about Trent Callahan maintaining an intimate relationship with Alicia Jennings, a client of the studio, including dates, times, and message evidence suggesting some of their meetups occurred on the studio premises after hours. On Friday at 11 p.m., Alicia posted on Instagram. The photo showed her alone, sitting in lotus position at sunrise, gazing thoughtfully at the horizon. The caption read, "Sometimes life takes us down unexpected paths that force us to face uncomfortable truths about ourselves. Mitchell and I have decided to go our separate ways. This process is painful but necessary for our individual growth. I ask for privacy during this delicate time as I work to reconnect with my authentic truth. Thank you for all your support." Mitchell read the post and almost laughed at the irony. No mention of betrayal, no taking responsibility, just the generic life coach language her followers were used to consuming. But he didn't comment, share, or react. He simply began systematically deleting every photo of them together from his profile. Alicia's followers noticed. Comments started rolling in, "But you posted about him last week calling him your biggest supporter, what happened? Wow, so sudden. Are you okay?" Alicia replied to some with vague messages about incompatibility and personal growth. But then some more curious followers noticed that Mitchell had completely erased Alicia from his profile, which used to occasionally feature couple photos. They noticed he hadn't made any explanatory posts or emotional statements, just total silence. And that silence spoke volumes. If it was so amicable and about growth, why did he delete everything and say nothing? One comment asked. There's more to this story, another speculated. When Trent was fired from Zenith Wellness the following Monday after an internal investigation confirmed an inappropriate relationship with a client, rumors exploded. Someone connected the dots. Trent worked where Alicia taught, both were active in the fitness social media scene, and now he was unemployed just as she announced her separation. Private messages flooded Alicia's inbox. "Were you seeing Trent? Is that why you split? Wow, such a disappointment." Alicia tried to contain the fire, but every defensive statement only added fuel. She posted about not judging without knowing the whole story, which made followers press harder. She posted about mistakes and redemption, which was interpreted as a veiled admission. Meanwhile, Mitchell remained in absolute silence, no comments, no drama, just living his life with a dignity that spoke louder than any public accusation. Weeks turned into months. The divorce moved through legal channels, with asset division favoring Mitchell due to irrefutable evidence of infidelity. Alicia lost major sponsorships. Wellness brands didn't want to be associated with scandals, especially once the public narrative solidified that she'd cheated on her dedicated paramedic husband with a personal trainer from her own workplace. Followers abandoned her by the thousands, tired of the dissonance between what she preached and how she actually lived. Trent vanished completely from social media after losing his job, blocked Alicia when she tried to reconnect, making it clear his interest had never gone beyond a convenient fling. Mitchell, on the other hand, returned to his routine with renewed focus. He took extra shifts, enrolled in an advanced trauma certification course, and started training for a marathon. Co-workers commented on how much lighter and more present he seemed despite the breakup. "You doing okay?" they'd ask. "I'm great," he'd reply with genuine sincerity. Sometimes removing something toxic from your life is the best medicine. 6 months after that fateful Tuesday, Mitchell was at a downtown Austin cafe when he saw Alicia for the first time since their separation. She was alone at a corner table, staring at her phone with a tired expression. She'd lost too much weight, her usually perfect hair was pulled into a messy ponytail, and the vibrant energy she used to radiate had faded. She looked up, and their eyes met. Alicia seemed like she wanted to say something, half raised her hand as if to call him over. Mitchell simply nodded politely, the kind of nod you give a distant acquaintance, and walked to the counter to place his order. There was no anger in his gesture, no vengeful satisfaction. Just the complete indifference of someone who'd already processed, moved on, and kept going. When Mitchell left the cafe with his espresso in hand, Alicia was still looking in his direction, but he didn't look back. He had real emergencies waiting, real lives to save, a real life to live. The silence she'd always asked for had become permanent, and in that silence, he'd found a peace their noisy, life-filled marriage had never offered. The divorce was finalized in December, 8 months after the discovery. Mitchell signed the final papers in a cold attorney's office, no ceremony, no drama. Alicia didn't show up in person, her lawyer delivered her signed documents by proxy. When Mitchell walked out of the office officially single, the Texas winter sky was surprisingly clear, and he felt something he hadn't experienced in a long time, genuine hope. That Christmas, Mitchell worked a voluntary shift at the emergency dispatch center, covering for colleagues with families. He saved 3 lives that night, a 62-year-old man having a heart attack, an 8-year-old girl in severe asthma distress, and a teenage girl injured in a car crash. When he finally returned to his apartment, now fully reorganized and completely free of any trace of Alicia, he sat on the couch with a cold beer and realized he didn't miss her. He felt no anger, no resentment, nothing but gratitude for having had the courage to let the silence she'd requested become the most eloquent response he could give. Alicia continued posting sporadically on social media, trying to rebuild credibility, but her numbers never recovered. She landed a job at a smaller studio, teaching smaller classes, without the influencer glamour she once had. Trent was working at a chain gym, anonymously, without the status he'd enjoyed before. Mitchell, a year and a half after that October Tuesday, met Sarah, a trauma nurse who worked at the same hospital. She was everything Alicia wasn't, genuine without having to proclaim authenticity, present without posting about connection, loyal because it was part of who she was, not because she needed to prove something to invisible followers. When Mitchell finally allowed himself to open his heart again, he did so with wisdom earned through pain and the silence he'd chosen to embrace. And in all the days that followed, whenever someone asked about his previous marriage, Mitchell simply said, "It didn't work out. But it taught me the value of silence." And he never elaborated further. Because some stories don't need to be shouted to be heard, and some forms of justice are far more powerful when carried out without a single word of scandal. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next time.